we've got a thing called a Naughtiness style. So I'll try and do the scene. No, I'll do the scene and I'll do it religiously. I'll get all the lines out well, and then he'll like amp up the Naughtiness style and be like, okay, you can amp this up to like 5 now, and it will be like level 5 ad libs. And then sometimes he'll like amp it up to 10, and it's like shoot, he's on like level 10.
Femi, when you're doing your characters, do you find, because obviously your show has got a lot of like African characters and, you know, different voices that we might have normally seen on a sketch show, and do you ever worry, oh, I hope people aren't laughing at this character, I hope they're always, I mean, I feel like they're so well written and such funny characters, you're totally laughing with them, but are you ever considering like, you know, we find that funny, but are the wrong people going to look at this in a different way or whatever, or is it just something you can't be asked to worry about?
No, I think I always just go, my job is to put the work out there and to be as honest and as integrous with the work that we're doing. I can't really be responsible for how someone might misinterpret or what I was trying to do or what we were trying to do. But I definitely think when the joke is with the people whose story it is, there is more nuance and less occasion for it to be. I mean, I've been an actor for a minute, and I've literally gone into jobs where they go, can you just do an African accent, because that'll be fun, you know? And I've had those words said to me, and it's like, why is that funny? So I think when we're playing aunties and things, we're not going this accent because aunties are it's funny. We're doing this because these are our aunties. This is what happens in the party, and this, I'm now considered an auntie on the show, and I literally after that sketch took all the jollof rice that wasn't used home. I'm not ashamed to say it happened. It's our truth and it's our life and it's our stories, and maybe some of them are heightened, but so I think you can't really go wrong when there's that truth there. Yeah,
and there's also universality to it, is that the word? In that, like, everybody's answer are a bit competitive, doesn't matter where you're from, you know, and families are embarrassing, and there's always leftovers that need to go home, that's for sure.
There's a whole lot of like Filipino people going, no, this is a Filipino thing, and then other people going, no, this is an Asian thing, and you know, so it was really lovely to go, okay, we're just sort of united by our crazy aunties, you know, across culture. It's really nice.
Jamie, how much of what you do is based on people who you know, and how much is it you just, you know, your own twisted imagination?
Well, it's hard to say because everyone in the show on the surface is very stupid. No, there's like, I think that it's trying to capture a general kind of goodness and sweetness about a lot of the people that I grew up with and went to school with, people who sort of, I don't know, I think there's just sort of, it's more just like general personality types that you see over and over again, and you see like that they're generally seen as flawed, but to kind of like tap into like a goodness in them is the sort of aim. Like my character, for example, is just like, he just does everything wrong, but assumes it's fine because he's him. It's like, I wouldn't do something wrong, would I? Surely not. Even though that thing's like broken and got like black liquid dripping out of it. Like, I swear that's like fine because it's me. Like, but you know, but deep down that comes from a place of like self-confidence, and maybe he like was like bullied at school and all these things. And when you tap into those things, and you know that like he loves his dad and his sister. I don't know, I just kind of wanted to, like, as the series went on, I realized it took a while for me to work out what the show was about. Like series 1, he's an arse.
This is the second series that you, after watching the first series, you realised what the show was about.
Well, I think in a lot of ways, yeah. Like I find the character reprehensible for the first few episodes of series 1, because I've been working on it for like 6 years before we started shooting it. So I was just like, oh, everyone knows his context because I knew it so well. I just sort of assumed that people would just assume like, oh yeah, because I'd done so much work on it. you know, I've got like white photos of whiteboards being like, these are the instances where he was bullied at school, sort of thing. And it's like, how the hell is an audience supposed to know that? I remember a friend texting me like a few episodes into series 1 being like, oh, so he's actually like a nice guy deep down. And I was like, yeah, didn't you read all my notes that I made over 7 years?
Ncuti, you obviously, you're nominated for your you're nominated for the second series, right, of Sex Education for the BAFTAs. That's right, isn't it? No, first series.
No, first series. Yeah.
First series. Okay, sorry, I literally just watched second series. But when you got the part and you sort of sit down and read it, how much of it are you like, I can do what I want with this? Like, did you? I mean, Eric's a decade younger than you. So were you like, I sort of have to work out what somebody 10 years younger than me does with their face and their words and their actions, or did you just totally tap into the character and you kind of got him, or did you sort of have to build him? How did that work? Getting a script through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good question. I don't know how I'm going to answer it. Yeah, I think like what a lot of the guys have said, I think I got the script, I read it, and there was a lot there, and I was like, there's a lot I can play with, and I was obviously aware that he's 10 years younger than me, but much like with the humor, I was like, that's not something that I can play directly. I can't try and like emulate youth because I'm not 16 anymore. So I just have to play the truth of the scene, and it's so well written that it's like, hopefully it comes across. Hopefully the youth comes across because it's coming from the writing, which is what I'm saying. So hopefully, if I just play the truth of the scene, hopefully I come across 10 years younger. But it was rich and full of a lot of stuff that I was really surprised that a very middle class white Australian woman had written this gay black character so well, and so nuanced, and aspects of his culture and his parents and all of that was all in the script already. That wasn't something I had to develop or build on. And there was also quite an open dialogue between myself and Laurie, and she wanted to make sure that she was getting things right when it came to things like the church and other aspects of his cultural identity. And so it was always a conversation on Sex Education. It was always a conversation with Laurie and the cast as to where these characters are growing, how they're growing, and who they are as people. And so, yeah, I guess in a way it was like a constant building. But I tried not to go in with an idea of like who he was in terms of his youth or his humor or anything like that. I just tried to let the writing come through.
So do you kind of, like, tonally or like energy wise, do you match it to what other people are doing in the scene, or do you go in and say, well, this is kind of my scene, so therefore everybody matches it to what I'm doing? Does that make sense? Like, I'm interested as like who kind of sets the scene in terms of how big or small or how much energy there is or whatever?
I think definitely our leader in chief, Ben Taylor. He sets the scene, and I think his energy definitely sets the scene for the whole set. He's a very playful guy, and that kind of sets the precedent to the atmosphere on set. Like, it's a very playful set, and obviously the subject matter, like, we're all kids, so we're all playing kids, so yeah, there's a lot to bounce off. Everyone's coming with energy that everyone's bouncing off, and when you're in a school building as well, you're always remembering the stories like that you had when you were at school, and like, oh, I did this, or I drew a dick on this locker as well. And so there's a lot of energy that's coming through from everyone, and so you just bounce and play off that. In terms of my scenes and who sets the vibe, I'd say, do you know what, with Ben, we've got a thing called a Naughtiness style. So I'll try and do the scene. No, I'll do the scene, and I'll do it religiously. I'll get all the lines out well, and then he'll like amp up the Naughtiness style and be like, okay, you can amp this up to like 5 now, and it will be like 5 level 5 ad-libs. And then sometimes you'll like amp it up to 10. And it's like Ncuti's on like level 10. Ncuti's on level 10. There's no stopping it. So
the X-rated version.
The X-rated version. So that's how our scenes tend to go. It's a very collaborative process in such.